Jaden Rashada is heading to the Georgia Bulldogs. This just broke moments ago. This is a massive get for the Dogs. I think this is a great fit for Jaden Rashada. We'll unpack all that right now, but first things first, if you're just now finding this show, just now finding this channel, you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, college football fan, period, make sure you're subscribed, okay? College football, clearly by nature of this commitment, and by nature of the transfer portal, does not stop, so we cover it that way, we talk about it that way. Glad to have you all a part of it, so make sure you're subscribed. So what is Georgia getting in Jaden Rashada? Let's start on the Georgia side of things, go to Jaden Rashada, and kind of unpack this thing in totality. For Georgia, the answer is pretty obvious. You're getting more talent added to your quarterback room. You got Ryan Puglisi, you got Gunnar Stockton, you got Carson Beck now going into this season, and now you add a four-star player from the class of 2023, and here's the deal, more talent is always a good thing. Like, there's no such thing as too much talent, especially not in your quarterback room. Other part of this is kind of how Georgia operates, right? They just go gladiator style when it comes to how they go about their position rooms. What I mean by gladiator style is they put as much talent as humanly possible in every single position room, and they let the best player fight it out, compete, and win. And eventually, whoever walks out of that room as the starter is the guy, and you know it's because he earned it, not because he was just handed the job, not because he was set up for success, the best out of those other players. It's because he earned it by competition. Now, obviously, in 2024, Jaden Rashada is not going to start at quarterback for the Dogs. It's Carson Beck's job. We all understand that. But when it comes time for him to compete for the job, I think he will be better for having sat behind a Carson Beck and having played against, in practice, some of the best players in the country, also playing with some of the best players in the country with who he'll be having on his offense every given week during practice. Now, for Jaden Rashada, we should give this guy a lot of credit. Let's kind of repack his story. Commits to Miami out of high school, flips his commitment to Florida, eventually signs with Florida, gets out of his letter of intent from some NIL mishaps, unfortunate, commits and plays for Arizona State this past season. Has some good moments, has some moments that I'm sure he would like to redo. Decides, okay, I need to go somewhere where I can develop, where I can maybe sit for a year and get better as a quarterback. And I think this is really impressive. He chose Georgia for a couple of reasons. First, he's not scared to compete. How many times do we see in college football guys transfer away from a situation to play somewhere earlier or to have it easier and to be able to hit the ground running and get some more tape? Jaden Rashada's not doing that by going to Georgia. You sign up to go play quarterback for Georgia in 2024, it's not to play quarterback. It's to run the practice squad. It's to be, on the depth chart as a depth piece. You're not playing at Georgia this upcoming season. However, he understands if he's going to play for Georgia long-term, he's going to have to compete his tail off. It will take every ounce of focus, of energy, all of him to eventually win that starting job when it's his time to compete for it. So he's not scared to compete. For the reasons I just mentioned, the names in that room are going to, if nothing else, make him a better football player. The other thing we should give him credit for is the maturity and the self-awareness it takes and the humility it takes to self-assess after your true freshman season at Arizona State and say, you know what? I'm not where I need to be yet. You know what? I got some more in the tank that I want to reach, got some more potential I want to reach. I think what's best for me is to not play next season and go somewhere where I can develop and sit behind a Carson Beck. Because for Jaden Rashada, I never met him personally. I don't know him, on a super personal level. I don't know him at all, actually. But what I want to make sure we say here is I'm assuming that Jaden Rashada has heard for the better part of the last 5 to 6 years that he's it. That he's going to go to the NFL, that he's going to go do great things on the football field, and a lot of his compliments he's been given has been tied directly to his abilities as a quarterback. You know how hard it is to admit, hey, I got some room to grow? I think that shows a tremendous amount of maturity, like I just said a second ago, and should be encouraging for the folks at Georgia that you're getting a quarterback in that mold. Now, a lot of folks, because of the whole situation with Florida and because of just the world we're living in right now, with any high-profile recruit, they're going to say it's NIL fueled, it's NIL this, it's NIL that. What I was told early on in the recruitment when Georgia was looking like the school for Jaden Rashada is that this was not an NIL decision. And I think it's one thing to hear that and to say that. It's another thing to pick a school like Georgia, which we understand they can play the NIL ballgame if they want to. But from what we've gathered, you don't necessarily go to Georgia for the NIL up front. Like, we hear a lot of kids talk about, oh, it's not about NIL, it's not about this, it's not about that. And then they go commit to a school that we pretty much can tell for the most part is an NIL-driven decision, or the recruitment from the jump. We hear, hey, this is an NIL ballgame. Not what we heard for Jaden Rashada. So again, I think that shows a ton of maturity and is a good sign for the folks at Georgia. This is a guy who's about ball, about development, about getting better, and trying to achieve his goals both personally and in that way, I'm sure, help Georgia accomplish their goals at a team level. So win-win for everyone. If you're Jaden Rashada, you go to the best place possible, for my money, one of the best places possible to develop and sit a year behind a Carson Beck, who I think is going to be, if not the first quarterback taken this time next year, he'll be in that discussion. Georgia, you add more talent, more depth to the most important position on your football team, which is, of course, quarterback. Personally, I'm happy for Jaden Rashada. The whole deal out of high school, just it's a crazy new thing that everyone was trying to figure out at that point in time with NIL and the landscape and this and that. And like, it was unfortunate that as a high school senior, that was a situation he had to deal with. So I wish him nothing but success as he goes to Georgia. Hope that it's a tremendous fit for him long-term. I hope it's a tremendous fit for Georgia long-term. But bottom line, man, the Dogs got better in their quarterback room, and Jaden Rashada is going to a tremendous development kind of football team. Lock it in right here. Subscribe again to the On3 YouTube channel. This show, The Hard Count, live 3 times a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Want y'all a part of it. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter at Jody Pakel, and let me know how you feel about the Dogs adding Jaden Rashada to their quarterback room. Appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.